Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by brilliance. What's up, Internet? That's right. It's time for another episode of the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast. I'm your host, creator, founder, all things awesome, Josh Will. And if this is the first time you've listened to the podcast, maybe it'll be the last time. Who knows? I'm going to fill you in on what this podcast is about. So the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast, it was created to bring together like-minded people who don't get offended by much, who are annoyed by a lot of things, and a podcast where we can have some humor, levity, a little bit of serious discussion, and it'll give you a glimpse into the inner working of my brain, a self-proclaimed get off my lawn guy. You'll hear some funny stories, some interesting opinions, wee bit of grumpiness, and a whole lot more from some really interesting people and some not so interesting people. Typically, this is where I would introduce you to my guest. No guest today. We are riding solo. All me, all podcast. I promise you it won't be as long as normal, but yeah, we're working on getting some more guests in here for the third season. Again, this is something that I do for fun. It's a hobby. People are busy. I'm not that big of a deal. It's not that important of a podcast. It's just fun and enjoyable. And that's why you see a lot of repeat guests. You see family, friends, and others on here. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this and you have a desire to be on the podcast and just reconnect or have a conversation or laugh and joke, whatever it is, get a hold of me. If I don't get back to you, it's probably because I don't want you to be on the podcast. No. Yeah, it's that hasn't happened yet. Because again, people aren't beating down the door and saying, boy, I want to be on your podcast, because I think that we've got roughly about 100 people listen a week, which I think is pretty cool. They're not all family and friends, because I get the locations, I see where they're at and where they're from. I mean, we're international, baby. The SBB is international. We're across the pond. We're everywhere. So, but anyways, it's going to be a lot of randomness on this podcast. At the end, actually, and we talked about how I have listeners. I've gotten some questions sent to me from listeners over the last 6 months or so, and I've never really found the time to address them. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to just kind of answer some of those questions. I'm not going to do all of them, but yeah. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first off, Memorial Day weekend starts today. Right? It's Friday right now. And before you go out and hop on the boat, start up the grill, pop open a brewski, or maybe make yourself an old sleepy. That's right. If you're not sure what an old sleepy is, get a hold of me and I'll fill you in on it. It's a delightful drink. Whatever it is you're doing, before you start to do any of that, hanging out with family and friends, just don't forget what this weekend, what this holiday is about. You know, it's a day of remembering our military personnel who died in service. They sacrificed everything so that we could have everything. I mean, so that you could be listening to this ridiculous podcast. They sacrificed. I mean, not just for this podcast, but what I'm saying is everything that you have is because of them. And don't forget that. So, I was trying to think about subjects to talk about, to not have this be too long, to not have this be too short. And one thing that popped in my mind, a lot of randomness, right? AI. Some of you listening to this are probably very in tune with artificial intelligence. You probably use it on a daily basis at your work. If you haven't, you're probably hearing more about it at your work. And maybe some of you are very scared of it. You don't want anything to do with it. You think that it's a fad and it'll be gone shortly. I disagree. I think you're 100% wrong if that's your take. So ultimately, and this is very brief, but AI is not going away. it's very interesting. I use it in some components of my work. I use it to help me with this podcast, and I use it for some other endeavors that I am striving to do and utilize it in my personal life. So it's very interesting. Um, I would encourage everyone. There's tons of little courses that you can take just to learn about it, and you'd be surprised the different ways that you can incorporate it into your daily life. Um, I'm actually currently in the process of developing an app that will help families with day-to-day activities, accountability, and scheduling. That it's an app that will have some form of AI built into it. So if a schmuck like me can use AI to build an app that will help people, then pretty much anyone listening to this can figure it out and try to do it. Now, again, I'm not completely done with it yet, and there's going to be some bugs I have to work out, but it's pretty cool. So, anyways, that's my AI spiel. Like it, love it, hate it, whatever you want to do. Just know that it's not going away. Completely flipping the script here. Sometimes I just randomly stare off into space. The other day, my wife, Tony, I was staring out the slider doors, looking at the lake. It was really beautiful. And she ruined that beautiful moment. I said, "What are you staring at? Why are you staring out there?" Because staring off into space is a precursor potentially to Alzheimer's. And I stopped and I looked. I'm like, "Thanks for the info. One, two, it's just really beautiful right now." And I was kind of trying to just focus on that moment, drain my brain from all the daily BS that's in it, whether it's work, family, whatever. And I just was having a moment to myself. And then she went ahead and ruined it. So, anyways, but where was I going with that? Oh, totally random. Um, I was thinking the other day, how many of you listening or watching have a clear, when you get in the shower, we're going to talk about a bathing routine right now. I know we talk about a lot on this podcast, and you may be turning off after this. I don't care, because it's my podcast, and quite frankly, wait, I already said I don't care. um, anyways, think of your bathing routine when you get in the shower. I mean, you don't just like freestyle it every time. You probably have a routine, a step by step of what you do. For me, hop in, face wash, clean the face. Step 2, shampoo in the hair, shampoo and conditioner, actually, 2 in 1. Rinse it out. And then I am a sophisticated man. Unlike many people probably listening to this, I got a bar of soap and I just start cleaning everything, right? And the reason I point out the sophistication of the bar of soap is, and maybe I'm not so sophisticated, but what I will tell you is I am more sophisticated and classy with my bathing routine when it comes to, there are people still listening to this who probably use a washcloth and a bar of soap, and they lather that washcloth up, and then they clean their face, and then they clean their arms, clean their armpits, and then they clean their legs, and they take that washcloth and they just get right up in that ass crack, and they clean their ass, and they clean other parts, right? And then you know what they do? They set the washcloth over here. They finish rinsing off. They get out. They dry off. They go on with their day. Fast forward 24 hours later. Maybe it's 6 hours later. Maybe they shower multiple times a day. I don't know. The point I'm getting at is, next time they go to take a shower, you know what they do? They grab that washcloth, same washcloth that you were elbow deep in your ass with. They lather it up with soap, get it all nice and sudsy. And what do? They wash their face, they wash their body, their armpits, and yet again, elbow deep in the ass crack. And they rinse and repeat, literally and figuratively, pun intended, with that washcloth knows how many times. But I know there are people listening to this that do that, and they use that same washcloth multiple times. So I don't do that. I'm a soap guy. Use this bar of soap, get up in there. I get up in my ass with the bar of soap. Probably don't want to hear that, but tough shit. So, but when you think of the routine, you do the same thing. Let's step away from the washcloth, but it becomes muscle memory, right? For me, it's face, hair, body, bing, bang, boom. But I bet if I were to just catch you on the spot and say, "Hey, what's your bathing routine?" You wouldn't be able to just verbalize it. You would have to literally physically do it, right? Because it's hard to verbalize because then you have to stop and think about it, compute it, say, well, first I do this. Anyways, totally random. Probably 2 minutes of your life you want back. I do apologize for that particular one. But another thing that I was thinking of the other day, like I said, a lot of randomness going on in this podcast, and we'll get to some structure here shortly, but was movies and television. Is it just me, or it just seems like there's no good shows or good movies that have been out for a long time. So I find myself watching reruns of the classics, which we're going to talk about here shortly. And if there is something new that comes out that might pique your interest for a second, it's probably a remake because there are no freaking original ideas. So, I mean, when I think of new shows that are out right now that I'm actually watching, that I'll watch on a weekly basis or whenever, right? Because with the streaming, you can wait a week or two and then catch up. But not that we have that much time to watch television. But I actually like the show. If you're a Yellowstoner, if you like the show Yellowstone, I've been very religious in watching the spinoff with Casey Dutton called Marshalls. So I think it's pretty good. They've definitely taken some time to develop his character some more, but I've been watching that. The Rip in lockstep with Yellowstone. The Rip and why can't I even remember her name? Beth. The Rip and Beth spinoff just came out last Friday. It's called Dutton Ranch. They put 2 episodes out. I did watch that over the weekend, had a little bit of free time. Not bad, right? Hoping it gets more interesting. So those two, actually, this show just ended, I believe, the streaming show. It's called The Boys. But I just started watching it. And again, it's not like I have a ton of time to do this because we're all busy, but I'm like 3 episodes into season 1. So my question is it worth it? Is it worth spending time investing in watching this show? I keep saying a lot. Normally we don't have dead air because I'll typically have a guest speaking. So, and it's been a couple weeks since I put a podcast out. Just been very busy with work and family. So yeah, The Boys, is it worth it? I'm trying to think of other shows that I've been watching that are new or that I've tried. There's just not a lot out there, which leads me to, I wanted to just list off my top 5 shows / miniseries ever, right? Some of this I may get some arguments from some of you. Again, don't care. Actually, I do care because I think it could be interesting to have some back and forth. Even though my 5 is right, yours will be wrong, regardless of what you say. But here is my top 5 shows / miniseries ever. Number 1. You know what? Yeah, let's start number 1. Number 1, if you know me well, The Office. Nothing has ever came close to it. Nothing ever will come close to it. Greatest show ever. Ever. If you're one of those people who are like anti-Office and you're like, I can never get on board with it. It wasn't my thing. Yeah, you don't have a sense of humor. You're not on my level is what I'm saying. But greatest show ever. Can't say that enough. I will continue to say that enough. I still watch that show. Those are what I talked about earlier, the reruns, how I'll watch. That is a staple. That'll always be in my staple. I literally have Peacock just so I can watch The Office at will whenever I want. So it's a good endorsement for Peacock. Not sponsored. I just gave them a free endorsement to 100 people. Number 2, The Sopranos. That show changed television like for the better. Well, I guess it didn't really change it for the better if there's not that many good shows out now. But what another fantastic show. In Tony Soprano, what a very complicated character. Christopher Moltisanti. I mean, I could talk about the show, but Tony, my wife, she's like, it's just too slow. I can't watch it. What a great show. And when you watch that, if you watch it multiple times, there's things that you start to find that are interesting that you didn't catch before, things that you find that are funny that probably first time watching it wouldn't be funny, but another great show. Number 3, best miniseries ever, Band of Brothers. Boom. Especially this time of year, with celebration of the anniversary of D-Day, which I think we're coming up on 82. I think it'll be the 82nd, 82 years ago. So, but Band of Brothers, I shouldn't even have to tell you. If you haven't watched that miniseries, watch it. Binge it this weekend. Greatest ever. I'm very patriotic. I love my country. The individuals, servicemen who make the sacrifice for us. Very prideful. I love all those guys that put their life on the line, that have, whether it's past, present, future, so much respect for all of them. So, Band of Brothers. You heard it here. Number 4, Game of Thrones. Number 4 and number 5 were a little tough for me because honestly, I wanted to just stop after 3. Like the 1, 2, and 3, I'm like, okay, to me, those are the only 3 in my stratosphere. I'm good with those 3. I could watch reruns of those all day long. But so Game of 4, number 4 and number 5, I had to put a little bit of thought into it. But Game of Thrones, that was it was a very good mini series, and I was hesitant at first to watch it, and actually I didn't watch it until it wasn't completely done yet. But I don't think I started watching it until season 3, season 4, and interesting show. A lot of different arcs that all led to one path, if that makes sense, or plot lines that led into one. So, but very interesting show. I enjoyed it. Haven't watched any of I think there's like a prequel out, or is it or some type of spin-off. Haven't watched any of those, and honestly don't know that I will. So, number 5, here we go. I couldn't hammer one down here. So number 5 is a mishmash of a few. I've got Friends, Friday Night Lights, and West Wing. And actually, honorable mention, Blue Bloods. So take what you want from those. I couldn't hammer down one of them, and that's what you got. So to wrap it up there, you've got number 1, The Office, number 2, Sopranos, number 3, Band of Brothers, number 4, Game of Thrones, number 5, Friends, Friday Night Lights, West Wing, and an honorable mention I've thrown in there last minute, Blue Bloods. So there you have it. But so anyways, we can't do this podcast without doing a Get Off My Lawn segment. So we're going to do one, and here it is. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I've created this list as daily, weekly moments happen. They occur. I see them, whether I'm out in public, whether I'm sitting here working, whether I'm traveling, whatever it is. And it's just these moments where you're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, common sense tells me you should know not to do that, or whatever the case is. It's those moments where you turn your head and you're like, what the hell? Like, why are you doing that? So you're just miffed. So I always ask my guests, what does the phrase "get off my lawn" mean to you? And I've said it on here before, so I'll say it here quickly. That phrase to me, I just kind of described some components of it. But when you think of Clint Eastwood in the movie Gran Torino, and he's sitting on his porch trying to enjoy himself, and those hoodlums, those those hoodlums get on his lawn, and he comes out there with a gun, and he's like, "Get off my lawn." But he's like that, he's like that grumpy old guy who wants things to stay the same, and he gets irritated by things that younger, different type of generations do. What I've come to the conclusion is, though, I don't think that those guys are wrong. Meaning, I don't think that I'm wrong because it's my perspective. But I'm going to take it one step further. I also think that a lot of people, probably a majority of people, when they hear these different "get off my lawn" scenarios on this podcast, they probably think, you know what, that is irritating. That is annoying. But they just don't take time out of their day because they're busy and have lives to be like, you know what, I'm going to jot that down. And later on, I'm going to go complain about it. Because why would you do that? It makes no sense. Yet here we are. So anyways, my "get off my lawn" moment is we have a Peloton. And yeah, I know if you see me without my shirt off, if you see me with my shirt off, you might be like, yeah, clearly you're not using a Peloton, Josh. But I'm getting there. I'm working on it. All right. But I'm pretty religious with the Peloton. I incorporate it into my weight training. And so I ride it a lot. And sometimes you just need a break, but you still need to get some exercise in. So it's a little, I don't know, active recovery or something a little low intensity, whatever it is, because they have just a potpourri of offerings. My frustration is I'll go on there and I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take it easy. It's going to be like kind of a light workout, a 20-minute low intensity workout. And I'll select this class. And I don't do any of the live classes. You can do live classes, but I like to do the ones that are already pre-recorded. And I'll select this low intensity workout. And you can see other people who are taking that class at the same time as you, if you're not familiar with a Peloton. So over on the side of your monitor, it shows you who else. It has their names, whatever their avatar names or whatever they are. And, you kind of can see how much they have left. They see how much you have left. You can connect, you can like give them a high five. There's other stuff you can do, but you can see their status. So what frustrates me is these Peloton tryhards is what I call them. They'll select one of these low intensity workouts. Let's say I'm 5 minutes in, 10 minutes into my 20-minute workout. And this tryhard will hop on. This is an example that happened the other day. Hops on. It's supposed to be low intensity. So normally on those, you'll typically, if you start with someone at the same time and they're following the class the way the instructor is guiding you, you'll be pretty close in your output because it gives you rankings as you're going. They might be ahead of you, they might drop below you depending on your output and how fast you're pedaling and what your resistance is. So, but then you have these tryhards who they'll hop on there and they will treat the low intensity workout as though it's the Tour de France. And, my example was I was 7 minutes into my workout. This guy started and he literally, maybe I was 5 minutes, I don't remember. He was past me. Like I had 5 minutes on him. And when I looked up with 12 minutes or 8 minutes to go, he was way past me and the other people doing it. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? It's a low intensity class. It says what kind of class it is, but you got on here and then you probably put the resistance all the way up, or you're pedaling your balls off to what? Just so you can pass everyone on the leaderboard and feel like Billy Badass. Like, what are you doing? Like those people, what the hell are you doing? Applaud you that you're working out. But if you're going to do that, go take an actual class, pick one of the thousands of classes that is going to challenge you and be realistic versus making yourself feel good by just picking the easiest class and then saying, I had the highest number there. Because in my head, that's what I think that person's doing. So Peloton tryhards. How do I make it a positive? I already did. The positive is, hey, you're working out. I'm glad you're getting your workout in. But if you're making it easy so that you can, what did I call it? Pad your Peloton stats, dude, get out of here. So that's my get off my lawn moment. All right. To finish this up, I'm just going to pick a couple questions that I've gotten periodically from some listeners through, well, not through YouTube, but I've gotten messages on social media and some other places. So, Jason from Ohio asks, when did you obtain the get off my lawn guy mentally? Well, first off, Jason, I think you meant get off my lawn guy mentality. So no worries there. But when did I obtain the get off my lawn guy mentality? I don't know. I think that just organically happens as you get older. Get off my lawn guy. I wouldn't use the word organic, though. What the hell? I think it naturally happens as you get older because things start to change, and you can either change with everything or you can be selective and, all right, I'm cool with this. I don't want to do this. And when you're going through that, you now have these layers of generations or whatever of groups or that, so they start to do things a little differently. They have a different approach on things, and you just see them doing these ignorant things. And then people also the entitlement that leads to people just become so entitled, so then they just start acting however they want in front of whoever they want, assuming there are no consequences. So I think it just naturally happens over time if you're paying attention to the world and life. Michelle from Illinois, clearly the podcast is about not caring what other people think, but is there anything you feel insecure about? Wow. That is a thought-provoking question, Michelle. Not so much the podcast. Here's what I would say, and I wouldn't say I feel insecure about it, but boy, I work out pretty hard, but it'd be nice to get back to like having a flat stomach and not looking like a fat piece of shit in photos. And I'm not, and like my wife will tell me I don't, but she's supposed to say that because she's my wife. But I, like most people, am my own worst critic. And many moons ago, I used to do bodybuilding. So I was in very good shape. And that's one of the things that bodybuilding shows will do to you. It'll give you a variation of body dysmorphia because you put your body, like you get your body to a state of where you physically look the best you could. You're muscular, you're lean, you have abs, which isn't obtainable 24/7 to have abs like that, but it's obtainable to remain lean and healthy like that, but without the drastic stuff. But anyways, the point I'm making is you do that, and then anything outside of that, you're just, you look at your body and you're like, yeah, I'm not that guy anymore. So I'm fat and I don't feel good. So, and I'm not that guy now. I'm comfortable in my body, but boy, I need to put some of the junk food down and truly commit if I really want to lose that extra weight and lose the belly. But yeah, that's what I wouldn't say insecure about it. It's just something I like to do, and I got this wonderful receding hairline, but you know what? It's me, baby. Deal with it. All right. What's another one? Zach from Florida. What did playing football or any sport teach you that adulthood reinforced? Pretty good question. What I would say is it's a lot of things. I mean, you guys hear a lot of conversations I have with former teammates on here. In high school, I played football, baseball, and basketball. In college, I played football. Well, football would teach you. I mean, what I would say is, what did playing any sport or football, whatever, any sport, I would say would teach you that adulthood reinforced is that anything worth working hard for and like busting your ass and putting the time in and dedicating yourself to it, it really is worth it. And, going through difficult times and pushing, whether it's your body or your mind, challenging yourself, you do a lot of that in sports if you have the right kind of coaches. I know some in this day and age, sometimes there's a bit more softness. There I am being that guy, being that get off my lawn guy. Um, but I think you learn that shit can get real hard real quick. But if you can just stick through it and push through it, knowing that you're going to be better, stronger, you will have learned from it. I would say that that's been reinforced as in adulthood, because you learn real quick as an adult that it's sink or swim. You've got two choices. You do what you need to do to put food on the table, to make money, to pay your bills, to be a good parent, to, if you want more, you have to work more for it. You have to make sacrifices. So there's a correlation there. I think that's been reinforced. So good question. Eric from Michigan, why is everyone constantly offended now? I think there's a lot of entitlement, and people just think that they deserve everything, when in reality, you don't deserve anything. Right? You have to work for the things that you want. I think here's what I think people are entitled to. Like, you should be able to have food, water, and shelter, and an education, and like some sort of education. Beyond that, the world owes you, and really the world doesn't owe you anything. It's what you have to. No one's coming to save you. You need to put the time in to help yourself and help those around you. So, the type of people that would probably be offended by what I just said, they probably don't listen to this podcast anyway. So, are there any specific social trends that drive you insane? We don't. That's a whole nother podcast. But the first thing that I could think of would be how, and my kids do this, every other week there's a new slang term for the same word. The word is, and I don't know all the terminology, but let's say the word is not false. The word's false, but it's one week that's cap, the next week I don't even know, I can't stick up with it. But it's like they have to come up with these new glossy, fancy terminology because they think it's cool, when in reality it's douchey. Welcome to the douche show. But so yeah, that's just one, but we could do a whole podcast on that. Just a couple more here. You talk a lot about the friendships made playing college football. Yes, I do, because I have them on here. What did locker room culture look like when you played? Sam from Texas had that question. Well, what did locker room culture look like when you played? A lot of helicoptering. I'll start with that. I'm not going to go in depth and tell you what it is. You can figure it out. Lots of helicopters. We had a lot of fun in the locker room. Music, listening to loud music, talking about our day, shooting the shit, having fun, figuring out what we're going to do after practice, and then doing it after practice. But the culture was just very welcoming, very bust your balls, but I love you. I'll play. I'm by your side. We'll go out there and we'll work our asses off together. But when I bust your balls and give you a hard time, it's not because I'm bullying you. It's because I care about you and I know you can take it and you can give it back to me. And that's one way that we have fun. A lot of interesting stories from the locker room. But yeah, that would be the culture. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's my response. So, and then why did you ban your friend Josh Ricker from the podcast? He seems cool. You should unban him. Ironically, the username for this one seems very coincidental. It's JR from Ohio. Well, JR from Ohio, the reason I banned my friend Josh Ricker from the podcast is because of his ridiculous takes about Notre Dame, his delusion that they can do no wrong and that they are holier than thou, and just a whole lot of his Notre Dame ridiculousness and delusion and just so much. So, look, I'm willing to have Josh back on. He's a great guest to have on here, But he needs to, I want some groveling. I want him, he doesn't have to do it publicly. I'll text me, grovel a little bit, ask for it. Because, I mean, even if you don't believe it, lie to me and tell me you're sorry. Happy to have you back. But I want justification. I will be justified in my banning, and you need to earn it and grovel. So that was kind of cool. Some of those questions that I got. There were a few more on here, and maybe we'll get to them another time. But this is, I think this is going long enough. If you're actually still listening 35, 36 minutes into this of a solo podcast with just me talking, then holy smokes. Thank you, because this probably wasn't my best podcast. I don't know. Just a lot of me talking. No one wants to see that anyway. So thanks everyone for listening. And remember, it's Memorial Day weekend. Remember why we celebrate it. Have fun. Be safe. And we'll see you next week. Deuces. Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by real